In this video, we are going to solve quadratics by completing the square when both a is 1 and when a is not 1. So this is trinomial such that the factors are the same. So x squared plus 2x plus 1. So x plus 1 and x plus 1, which is x plus 1 squared. We have two of them. Okay, so that's kind of what this form is. One subtraction, one addition. So standard form ax squared plus bx plus c. So how do we figure out what this, I call it the magical number? We take b divided by 2 and we square it. So whatever that middle term is, we divide it by 2 and square it. So negative 14 divided by 2, and it's always going to be positive. That's why there's that plus, because when we square a negative. So 14 divided by 2 is 7. So we have 49. And then if we were to factor this, it would be an x minus 7 and an x minus 7, or x minus 7 squared. Kind of like what you get before you squared it, that's going to be that number there. So on this next one, we're going to take our 4 and divide by 2 and square it. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 squared is 4. So it would be an x plus 2, and it would be an x plus 2, which is x plus 2 squared. And if you want to try these next two, remember, take your b, divide it by 2 and square it. So 3 squared is 9, and it would be an x minus 3, because we have a minus, x minus 3, which is x minus 3 squared. Try that last one, 10 divided by 2 squared. 25, so x plus 5. X plus 5, or x plus 5 squared. All right, so that's a big part of completing the square. So let's take a look here. First thing we need to do is we need to make room for our magical number. So we need to get rid of this number right here so we can create that spot for our number. So I'm going to add 27 to get it over here away. And now I have my spot. Now, whatever I do to one side, my magical number, I'm going to have to add it to the other side, okay? So I have 6 divided by 2 squared. That's 3 squared, or 9. I'm going to add that to both sides. Now I'm going to factor this because I know it's going to be x plus, and then it was 3 squared. Is x plus 3, x plus 3. And then over here I get a 36. And now I'm going to solve it. Because it's squared, I can do the square root, and that gives me x plus 3 equals plus or minus, don't forget your plus or minus, 6. And then I'm going to go ahead and subtract that 3. X equals negative 3 plus or minus 6, and I'm going to go ahead and do negative 3 plus 6 and negative 3 minus 6 to get 3 and negative 9. So on this one, I need to make room for a magical number. So let's add 84 to both sides, get that space open for our magic number here that's going to help us be able to factor. So we're going to take our b divided by 2 and square it, and that is going to give me 16. So I'm going to add 16 to both sides, and now I can go ahead and factor. This is an x, and then since this is subtraction, it's subtraction here, and it's a 4. And it's that x minus 4 times x minus 4, which is that x minus 4 squared. And then we have 100. We add over here. And then we're going to square root. So x minus 4 equals plus or minus 10. Square root of 100 is 10. So x minus 4 equals 10. X minus 4 equals negative 10. Or you can add that 4 and then do your two solvings. So it's up to you however you want to. So negative 6 and 14. So if you want to try this one, number 2, and then push play and check when you're ready. All right, so I just went ahead and rewrote this with my -98 on this side, but we do already have a spot open and ready for our 100, and that is our B20 divided by 2 squared. That's where I got that 100, and we add that to both sides, and then we factor this. So this ends up being an x plus 10, or x plus 10 squared, and then we square root both sides, and then we subtract that 10, and then we cannot take and simplify or add -10 in radical. So there's our final answer. We're going to skip number 3 and move here to number 4. Again, you can try it on your own if you'd like, or you can follow along. And we are going to rewrite it with our x squared in front, kind of in standard form, but we want to leave that 20 on that side because we need this spot right here open for our magic number. So 16 divided by 2 squared is 64. It's 8 squared. And we add 64 to both sides, and then we're going to factor this. So it ends up being our x plus 8, or our x plus 8 squared. And then we add together and get 84 on the right. And then we're going to square root. So we square root, and we're left with x plus 8 equals plus or minus, and then 84 we can simplify is 4 times 21. So that becomes a 2 square root 21. And then we want to finish by subtracting that 8. And x is equal to -8 plus or minus 2 square root 21. And we are done. So let's take a look next at when a is not 1, what do we do? So we follow a lot of those same steps here, but we have one additional step. So we're still going to move this to make room for our magical number there. So we're going to move that c over here. So we have 10x squared plus 20x, leaving a spot, equals 30. But before we do our magic number, we want to divide by that common factor. So we're going to divide every single thing here by 10. So we get x squared plus 2x equals 3. And now we're going to do all the same steps that we did before. Magic number here. So 2 divided by 2 squared. And that means we are going to add a 1. And so we are going to factor this side here, and it becomes an x plus 1 squared. And then 3 plus 1 is 4. And then we're going to square root. And so x plus 1 equals plus or minus 2. And then we are going to subtract that 1. X equals -1 plus or minus 2. So we can take -1 plus 2 and -1 minus 2 and get our 1 and -3. So all these steps are still the same. It's just this additional step here where we had to divide out to make that coefficient 1. So let's take a look at another one here. So here we are at moving that 90 by adding it. We have a 5x squared plus 10x equals 90, and we want to divide by this 5 because we want this to become an x squared. So we end up with x squared plus 2x equals, and 90 divided by 5 is 18. And now we have our spot open here, and we take our 2 divided by 2 squared, and we are going to put a plus 1 on both sides. So factoring, it's an x plus 1 squared equaling 19, and then we're going to square root. X plus 1 equals plus or minus square root 19. No factors of 19, so we're just going to subtract 1 and leave it as -1 plus or minus square root 19. Go ahead and try this next one, number 2. The 90 is already on that side, so you're just going to divide everything by 8 and then get your magic number and move through those steps. So push pause, try it, check when you're ready. And here's step 1. Go ahead and leave that as a 45 over 4 for now. Find that magic number. All right, it's magic number of 1. So it's x plus 1 squared. And then if we add 1, it's really 4/4. So it's really 49/4 now. And so we can square root, and that ends up being perfect square over perfect square. So it's x plus 1 equals plus or minus 7 halves. And then we're going to subtract our 1. So x equals -1 plus or minus 7 halves. which ends up being 5/2. Let me write it out here. -1 plus 7/2, -1 minus 7/2. And you can do that on your calculator, but 5/2 and -9/2. If you want to try those last two, I will go ahead and stick the answers up here for you to check with, but go ahead and try them and then check when you're ready. Double check number 3, and then I'll go ahead and work number 4. So we're going to move that 6, and then we're going to divide everything by 2 to get that x squared alone. X squared is equal to plus 5x is equal to 3. And we have a spot now for our magical number, which we're going to take that 5, divide it by 2, and square it. And that's going to give me 25/4. And you're not going to see anything like this one that's going to have that many fractions. It's going to be, for the most part, pretty numbers. And so it's going to be an x plus 5/2 squared is equal to 37/4. Then we're going to square root. So x plus 5/2 is equal to plus or minus square root 37 over square root 4. And we can do that square root of 4, and we're going to subtract that 5/2. So we end up with -5/2 plus or minus square root 37 over 2. And 37, there are no perfect squares as factors, so we can't simplify that, and we're done.